Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Gorecom, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives right after they put out important news. And today's news was a big one. Came out of KABN Systems North America, trades on the CSC under KABN. With us again, David Lukács. He's the CEO of the company. For those of you new to the story, before we get to the headline, KABN essentially is a North American fintech company that's empowering individuals like you and me to manage, control, and generate money, profits from our biometrically verified self-sovereign identity. All right, basically, it's taking charge of our own identities, and they do that through the Liquid Avatar program, the coolest thing we've seen in ages. So, what does that mean in layman's terms? To break it down even more, KABN turns the problem of our data privacy into a profit for people like us, and at the same time, for big business, it creates a new compliant business model for them. And trust me, folks, this is where things are going, where we're going to control our online identities, control the privacy, and control the monetization. KABN's at the forefront of that. David, welcome back. Big news today.
Thanks, George. Great to be here.
All right, so the press release, I'm going to read the headline. KABN North America partners with UK and Barbados-based Tokenized to develop verifiable identity credentials for regulated tokenized securities exchange. Man, that's a mouthful, right? We understand, and there's no other way to say it. So let's understand what Tokenized does first, and then get to how this relationship works. And what we've got here is Tokenized, through one of its entities, offers issuers, public companies, and investors the ability to tokenize crowdfunding programs through purchase, sale, exchange of blockchain-based securities. First of all, what is tokenized crowdfunding?
So that's the UK part of Tokenized International Limited. They have a regulated entity in the UK that allows them to take on projects that fit the crowdfunding platforms in the UK, and they allow them to create blockchain-based securities like STOs, and allow users to buy literally tokens in a regulated public program.
So give us an example so people can understand. Or I know, for example, people are tokenizing real estate. I'm not saying that's helping to tokenize,
right?
But so now, before, if there's an acre of land available for sale somewhere, only a big wealthy person can buy that acre of land.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're tokenizing land, which means one guy can pay $10 million for that acre, or 1,000 people can pay $10,000 for that acre. They all own it, and it's all managed on the blockchain. So that's tokenized crowdfunding. What is it that you guys are now doing together? Why do they need Liquid Avatar, and why do you need them?
So it's not only in the UK, George, but Tokenized International Limited has a license in Barbados to open up a tokenized stock exchange.
Right.
Just like we trade on the CSE where we're listed, or the TSX or NASDAQ, this will be for tokenized securities. So it'll be much more accessible to global investors around the world using blockchain-based securities. So it's the next evolution, in our opinion, of the way that securities are going. And it can be what you've talked about. It can be real estate, art, collectibles. It could be initiated services. Yeah, it can be anything. And it follows security guidelines, and it gives people around the world the ability to buy tokens rather than just shares, and trade them around the world. And what we're doing is, like any exchange or business that has to make sure their customers or clients are vetted and in a regulated environment, we're going to be providing the front end to allow customers to sign up for the tokenized exchange and go through our verifiable credentials, so that there is a single sign-on, the ability for one person to sign on using a credential rather than just using a username and password. So at the end of the day, everyone is protected in the environment.
All right. So whether George is buying something on the tokenized stock exchange in Barbados, or whether George is participating in a tokenized crowdfunding in the UK, is the important thing here that KABN can confirm, hey, that's George. We know it is. He's not some gangster. This isn't a bunch of gangsters hiding behind, blockchain and tokens in order to run some kind of scam. This is know your client and more than that, but that's really a big part of that, correct?
Well, it is, but it's also important to know that George is making the transaction. George didn't give his account information to someone else to make the transaction. So it's always George because George is using
Good
his
point.
liquid avatar to access his account and his services.
Because the big problem is it could be someone who took George's credit card or whatever credentials and is using it. I have no clue, but someone just went and bought a share in some company or part of some land in the UK, and they use my money to do it. So what you're doing is, we're verifying it is George, and we're verifying that that's his. I got that. That's fantastic. Now, how big? Who would need this right now, or is this just a case of David? You guys are just getting there first before anybody in the market's going to grow there. Because in my opinion, but obviously everyone wants to hear it from you, tokenized crowdfunding, I think is going to explode this decade.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, valuable piece of art, real estate, some collectible, a Michael Jordan rookie card. Those are only available to the wealthy, right? The rest of us that sit back. So if a Michael Jordan rookie card goes for, let's say $10 million, I have no idea.
$720,000 for a PSA 10.
Okay, so 720 grand, right?
Mm-hmm.
A wealthy person is the only person obviously can buy that.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can have 720 people who each pay $1,000, and they can own a piece of that rookie card and grow with it. So I think tokenized crowdfunding is going to be massive, and I want to hear your opinion on that. But the tokenized securities exchange, the tokenized stock exchange, where do you think that fits in the future of capital markets?
Well, I think it's just an extension of crowdfunding. Crowdfunding right now for Tokenized is in the UK, but by having an exchange in Barbados, they can list companies from around the world or things around the world. So it's a bit of a different animal. I think of them as somewhat related, but very different at the same time.
Sure.
But I think what's really important is if we get millions of liquid avatar users, those millions of users are already somewhat pre-qualified to have accounts with Tokenized. That's a really important opportunity for them. So we're giving our liquid avatar users potentially the ability to do more with their liquid avatar. But for companies like Tokenized and other people in the financial services industry, we're now saying one user, one account. It's our philosophy. You can't have someone who is mimicking, imitating, trying to be someone else, trying to sign in on someone else's account. If you've been in this industry long enough, you've heard the stories that, somebody gives someone else the account to trade on. I'll put some money in the account and let you trade on it. That can't happen. It just can't happen because the user who owns the account has to be the user that signs in because of liquid avatar and the verifiable credentials. So it creates a higher level of safety and security, and at the same time protects the user and the integrity of the system. And it's our first foray into major financial services that also touch, securities exchanges.
How do you generate revenue on the KABN side through liquid avatar? How do you generate? There are multiple levels. There are multiple layers. How do you? What are the primary ways you generate revenue from this?
Well, in this case, it's going to be a service fee because we're not a regulated entity, so we can't take a commission or anything.
Right.
So when companies like Tokenized use us to create a service, every time a liquid avatar user connects to that, we would get a service fee. So for us, it's great, but it also opens the door for our liquid avatar users to have more availability of great services and credentials on the system, which makes them apt to want to do more inside of liquid avatar. And while they're buying the Michael Jordan, fractional ownership of a card, they might want to buy a pair of Air Jordans from Nike, and we might get paid something from Nike for doing that.
Is Tokenized going to make it a prerequisite to either be on their crowdfunding platform or on their tokenized stock exchange that, hey, George, if you want to transact here, great. Would love to have you buying, buying stocks on the tokenized stock exchange or buying crowdfunding, programs. But first we need you to come in through liquid avatar. Because what are they using right now, right? Obviously anything less than liquid avatar, and I'm not trying to put them down. I don't know if I am, but is probably not up to snuff and adequate, right? So do they get to the point where they say, hey, you got to create a liquid avatar first?
Well, here's the good news. The tokenized stock exchange in Barbados is still in build form. And so we get to come in at the early stage. We're also talking to other organizations in the financial services industry that are building new and exciting products in crowdfunding and in things like Reg A Plus and all kinds of other opportunities where they're looking to make sure that the users that come in are verified up front. Now it's they do traditional KYC or know your customer and anti-money laundering, which we can do as part of our program at Liquid Avatar. You don't need to start with that. We can move people up into that system. That's a level 2 for us. But at the end of the day, what we're really doing is we're working with companies who are on the ground floor. And in our opinion, Tokenized is breaking ground all over the place because they're connecting blockchain and securities to regulated exchanges. I mean, we all know the trouble that that BTC has gone through and Ethereum and now XRP. There's a lot of challenges with some of the coins and altcoins, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about using blockchain based technologies, cryptography, to manage the purchasing, selling, and trading of securities.
Yeah, you're not as interested in what the token is. It's as long as you can use it to buy something.
Exactly.
Focus on the end product, not on the vehicle, the token itself.
Right. And again, because Liquid Avatar is not quote unquote a blockchain company, but we use blockchain technologies with our verifiable credentials, we're using the latest technologies to prove value and to increase security. So we're taking that increased opportunity for security to other industries now. So we're not just bringing it to consumers. This is a really important part. We're now bringing it to industry. So we're connecting the next level. Remember, we're a consumer to business company, but we're also going to be a business to business company and a business to consumer company. So this gives us an opportunity to extend our reach with Liquid Avatar, not only in working with people like George as our customers, but now create a new series of clients that commercially use Liquid Avatar to make their products and services better. So it's a new area, and obviously digital identity just isn't important to consumers, it's important to governments. I mean, many people have seen that the Ontario government has got surveys out to the end of the month talking about digital identity. And so there's lots going on in the industry from a business standpoint. So we want to be at the forefront, making sure that that end consumer is connected to businesses that want to use verifiable credentials.
And for people at home who are wondering, well, how good could this really be at the end of the day? Who needs a tokenized stock exchange in Barbados? Well, and David, correct me if I'm wrong, but here's the case for them. I know this isn't your core, but if they're successful, you're going to be successful. Right now, KABN trades on the CSE, and Canadians can buy it, no problem. Americans that can buy it, sometimes problems, depending on which brokerage firm you're using, right? Mexico, Switzerland, Malaysia, Mali, you name it. Australia, they can't buy it. They just can't, right? Unless they go through something really expensive, they can't. So the reason, for all of you at home, the reason why a tokenized stock exchange is so important is it allows, so you can have this tokenized stock exchange in Barbados. Agoracom could list as a company on that exchange, on the stock exchange, and then anybody in the world could buy stock buy tokens in the company and own a small piece of Agoracom at the end of the day. So it may not be as liquid today, obviously, as like a CSC or TSX venture, but I'm pretty sure that going forward, that's exactly where, and I'm not saying the CSC and venture are going anywhere, but this just could be another alternative to people who say, hey, you know what? I want to make myself accessible. I've got a global product that a lot of people really, I want to put on a tokenized stock exchange. And instantly, anybody from around the world from their phone, do I got that kind of right, David? And if there's,
I think you've done a great job there, George. I know the people at Tokenized for a number of years now, and they are real innovators. And if you think about the liquidity equation with BTC or Ethereum or any of them, any of the recognized coins, or even now Dogecoin, there's so many things going on out there that more and more people are getting acclimatized to tokenized opportunities. And securities are the next big thing, whether it's fractional ownership of a collectible or fractional ownership of a piece of art, land, real estate, or it's a company. And you're 100% right. We would look at as KABN, opportunities in Barbados to reach the rest of the world, because it
Yeah.
gets us opportunities to reach the rest of the world with our product without having to list on every single exchange and incurring all those additional costs. So for us, it makes us an innovator, but I think that's what's more important to us. I mean, that's a fantastic way to describe Tokenized, but for KABN and for Liquid Avatar, it starts to push us into the financial services world from a
Yeah.
third party validation and verification perspective. So we do a great job with Tokenized, which will take several months. We're planning it for Q3. It's a big build, but we're already seeing in just the last couple of weeks one other company coming to us in the U.S. and talking to us about, hey, we'd like to use Liquid Avatar potentially as our front end for our offering system, because we need a higher level of engagement and security.
Great.
Plus, we want Liquid Avatar users to share this with their friends, family, and coworkers. So it becomes a natural. And again, to reinforce, is there's no fakes or bots in Liquid Avatar. Everyone's a known user. So these people and these organizations know they're reaching real people.
And for everyone at home who's new to KABN, and we know that every day KABN brings in new people all the time. Trust me, do yourself a favor. As soon as this interview is over, go to liquidavatar.com. It'll blow you away in terms of capability, and it'll really impress the hell out of you in terms of how cool and cutting edge and how they're meeting the future market. It's absolutely brilliant, especially when it comes out of, a guy like David who's middle-aged like me. You're wondering, how the hell did he come up with something that cool? But he did with his team. Obviously, we know that, but unbelievable. Last piece. So that's great. We're going to keep up with you on, where that goes over the next few months, but you guys are definitely ahead of the market. You're doing a Gretzky here. You're playing ahead of the game because you know where the puck is going to be not only a few months from now, but 5 years from now and 10 years from now. So that's why I love KABN, guys. I love it. You also put out a press release this week. KABN North America welcomes leading executives to its industry advisory committee.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a chance to go through all of them, but you've added on for our audience the likes of Sheldon Inwentash, the chairman of 3D Capital, who is a renowned financier and a renowned now investor in disruptive technology.
Mm-hmm.
You got Rob Anson, the CEO of Loop Insights, who's absolutely lit the world on fire with their contactless tracing technology, along with their real-time artificial intelligence analytics at the point of sale. Kind of combine those into these venue management blow-away solutions. And Alan Paul Silverstein of Imagine AR, who's done nothing less than partner up or sell or license and whatever else you want a combination you want to call it, his augmented reality technology to some of the biggest organizations in Canada, United States, Europe, India, Japan. Why was it important to add not only these guys, these disruptive tech guys, but the others on the list now to KABN's industry advisory committee?
Well, thanks, George. We believe that we're at an inflection point. For those that have been following us know that next week, Liquid Avatar starts to launch. And again, we'll launch in phases. It's like a big pill, and we're kind of slathering it with peanut butter, and that's the fun part. But so we're launching it in very small phases over the next few months. But the group that we brought together are really industry experts. And one thing that I've always believed that a company can suffer from is tunnel vision, right? You can't see the forest for the trees because you're focused on your own business. And by bringing great people like, Sheldon and Rob and Alan Paul and Neil Stiles and Ruth McCartney and, Lauren Linton, who's the head of CIX, and Craig Asano from the NCFA, and other great people on the IAC run by our senior advisor, Ben Kessler, what we've been able to accomplish is getting the 18 focus group around the table to help us. Are we doing the right thing as executives? Are we doing the right thing as a business? What are your opinions? What are your thoughts? Now, they're not going to run the business. They're not going to guide the business, but they're going to give us their experience and insight to help us create a better product and services. Plus, I mean, their connections extend well beyond our own. So, the opportunity for us to increase our reach and extend our ability to bring the Liquid Avatar brand to others is only enhanced by bringing these people to the table.
Well, congratulations, because that's great third-party validation when you bring those kind of people. I mean, you want to bring them, but when they say yes
Mm-hmm.
and they come along for the ride, I think that's pretty incredible. So congratulations on the
Thank
news
you.
with Tokenized. I think that's exciting, and I think we did a pretty good job of explaining how, why you need to do it, why it's so important, why it's potentially so valuable. And guys, we know for all of you at home, the great thing about disruptive tech companies is, they're creating new markets out of things that we didn't even know existed. So that's the beautiful side. The challenge, though, is sometimes understanding what the hell it is that they're doing, because they're not selling widgets. They're going into the new unknown. So that's why it's so important that you watch these interviews, watch the previous interviews with David, understand what KABN does as best you can. Do your due diligence, keep diving in, ask us questions, go on
Mm-hmm.
Twitter, go on the Agoracom forums, ask the questions you need, because if you believe that the world is moving the way I do towards controlling self-sovereign identity. Now, we said that at the beginning, now you know what that means. Self-sovereign identity means we control our own online identities. We control it, we monetize it. I guarantee you that's the way they're going. That's everything is being granularized on the internet. Then KABN is the company at the forefront of all that. I mean, there are other companies out there, but in the small cap world, and even with other companies out there, KABN is, I think, the tip of the spear. But in the small cap world, especially, there's nothing else like it. I can't guarantee anything. David can't guarantee anything.
Mm-hmm.
But what you got to do is do your due diligence,
Mm-hmm.
risk your, assess your risk reward here, and see if this is something you want to be a part of. Not for the next month, not for the next 3 months, but for the next 12, 24, and 60 months, 5 years from now. I think I've made that decision. You got to make that decision for yourselves. Thanks for joining us, everyone. David, have a great day. Thanks for joining us, my friend.
Thanks, George. It was great to be here.
You've been watching David Lukacs, CEO of KABN. It's up to you to do your diligence. Get to Agoracom, go to the KABN hub, look at the profile section. Then from there, click over to the KABN website right from the hub and do your due diligence. Just don't say we didn't tell you so 12 months from now. Have a great day. See you next time.